Have you ever found yourself noticing someone's distress before anyone else even picked up on it? Not just because you're observant, but because you feel something deeper, a kind of inner signal. Or maybe you've entered a crowded room and, without warning, felt the energy drain from your body. It wasn't the people exactly, and it wasn't that you were just tired. There was something about the whole atmosphere that felt off, as though your spirit couldn't breathe there. These aren't just signs of being introverted or uninterested in idle chatter. What you're experiencing comes from a much deeper place. As your spiritual awareness begins to blossom, what once felt normal or even enjoyable starts to lose its color. Busy spaces and shallow conversations start to feel heavy, almost suffocating. And if this is something you've been going through, it's not by accident. You're right where you're meant to be. Those who are waking up to their deeper purpose often find themselves feeling detached or even alien in environments they once fit into. But that doesn't mean something is wrong with you. In fact, it's quite the opposite. You've been set apart, chosen, and with that comes an entirely different way of experiencing life. That growing sense of detachment isn't weakness. It's actually a mark of your evolution, a sign that your energy is shifting to prepare you for something much greater. Let's explore this transformation. When your spiritual connection intensifies, your experience of the world becomes sharper, more vivid, and sometimes even overwhelming. It's like everything has been turned up. Colors, sounds, emotions, even time feels different. This isn't your imagination. It's a real shift in your perception that comes with awakening. I call this the sensitivity surge. Picture yourself walking into a room full of people. To everyone else, it's just a normal setting, conversations flowing, laughter echoing, music playing. But for you, it feels like stepping into an emotional storm. You can sense everyone's mood, hear tones others ignore, pick up on hidden tensions, and feel the collective vibration in a way that goes beyond words. It's as if your senses have expanded overnight, but instead of feeling empowered, you often feel weighed down. This isn't a random change, it's part of your spiritual awakening. As your inner awareness grows, your physical senses often become more finely tuned. Your entire being starts operating like a delicate instrument, detecting energies and frequencies that once passed by unnoticed. So, is this heightened sensitivity a gift or a burden? Honestly, it can feel like both. It's like being given a new sense, a spiritual radar. In places full of people, you're not just hearing voices, you're feeling anxiety, sensing conflicts, noticing the subtle emotional language people try to hide. That kind of input is exhausting. But what if I told you it's also one of your greatest strengths? This ability to sense what's beneath the surface is powerful. It allows you to walk through the world with an understanding others can't always grasp. You can tell when someone is hurting, even if they smile. You can feel when a place is peaceful or not. It's not paranoia, it's spiritual perception. You are developing an inner compass, one that doesn't rely on logic, but on the deep, often silent knowing of your soul. There's a beautiful quote that speaks to this. Those who are chosen feel deeply, and because of that depth, they're more aware of cruelty and inhumanity. That emotional awareness becomes your moral compass. It not only shapes how you perceive the world, but also how you move through it. You may find that you're becoming more compassionate, more thoughtful about your words and actions, and more concerned about how you treat others and how they treat you. But there's a flip side. This gift of sensitivity can feel incredibly isolating. You might sit at a table with people laughing and talking and still feel completely alone. You may wonder why others don't seem affected by the noise, the energy, the disconnect. You try to explain how you feel, but the words fall short, and those who haven't experienced this shift may not understand, leaving you feeling even more out of place. Know this, you are not the only one feeling this way. Countless others, also waking up to their true purpose, are going through the same process. They too feel overwhelmed in crowds. They too crave quiet, meaningful connection. So, what can you do about it? First, honor your sensitivity. Don't see it as a burden, it's a valuable tool. Like any tool, it needs proper handling. You wouldn't run a powerful engine without maintenance. The same goes for your energetic system. You need to protect it, care for it, and manage it wisely. Second, be mindful of where and how you spend your energy. Avoid places or people that feel energetically chaotic. Take breaks. Spend time outdoors. Incorporate quiet rituals into your daily life, whether that's meditation, prayer, journaling, or simply sitting in silence. The world isn't built to nurture spiritual sensitivity, but that doesn't mean you should change to fit it. It means you're being prepared to help shift it. Your sensitivity is guiding you to something more meaningful. And speaking of meaning, have you noticed how everyday conversations start to lose their flavor? Things you used to enjoy talking about now feel empty. It's not that you've become arrogant or difficult. It's that your soul is evolving. You're yearning for something richer, more aligned with your deeper understanding. Remember when talking about your favorite TV shows or weekend plans used to be fun? It made you feel connected. But now, these interactions feel hollow. You're still in the room, still nodding and smiling, but something inside you is screaming for more depth, more truth, more connection. You're not broken, you're growing. Many people on this path begin to find small talk exhausting. It's like trying to drink from a dry well. You show up in conversation, but what you're craving is not just words, it's substance. And the truth is, not everyone is ready for those deeper waters. So you begin to pull away, not because you want to isolate, but because the emotional return on those interactions just doesn't feel worth it anymore. You want to talk about the nature of the soul, about healing, about why we're here and where we're going. You're no longer interested in discussing the weather when your spirit is searching for stars. This isn't regression, it's progression. Your inner world is becoming more vast, more alive. You crave honesty, curiosity, realness. That's not something to apologize for. It's something to honor. Yes, this shift may make you feel distant from those around you, but in truth, you're just aligning more closely with your authentic self. You're becoming more conscious of the conversations you want to have and the energy you want to be around. This change might feel lonely at first, especially if you find yourself in spaces where people just don't resonate with your frequency anymore. But eventually, you'll start attracting those who do. You'll meet souls who hear you without explanation, who feel what you feel, and who also hunger for something real. These connections won't be loud or flashy. They'll be soul deep, honest, and nourishing. They'll remind you that you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to lead, inspire, and awaken others through your very presence. But before you can fully do that, you must continue this process of shedding the old, letting go of superficial interactions, choosing solitude over noise, trusting that what's falling away is making space for something better. And in that space, something powerful begins to grow. The more you honor your truth, the more your spirit expands. And the more it expands, the less tolerance you have for anything fake or forced. You're not becoming antisocial, you're becoming soul-focused. This is the path of the awakened. It's not always easy, but it's deeply meaningful. And the reward is connection, not just with others, but with your own spirit and with the divine. So when you feel overwhelmed in crowds, when the small talk bores you, when solitude calls louder than social invitations, listen. Don't fight it. That's your soul saying, this is not your final destination. Keep going. There's more waiting. This is just the beginning of your transformation. As your path continues unfolding, you may begin to notice subtle but undeniable changes, not only in your surroundings, but deep within yourself. The way you engage with people, the kind of energy you can tolerate, even the spaces you once felt comfortable in, these all start to shift. What once felt vibrant might now seem dull. Places that were once full of joy might now feel suffocating. Conversations that used to be your escape now leave you feeling unseen. This isn't just a mood. It's not a phase. This is transformation, the kind that reaches into your very core. You're not just changing on the outside, you're awakening from the inside. As you grow more spiritually aware, you begin to realize how sensitive you've become to things that most others simply overlook. There's a quiet awareness inside you, attuning to something much finer than logic or observation. You might find yourself feeling depleted in certain environments, even when nothing bad is happening, and yet, your body knows. Your soul recognizes when something is off. You don't always have words for it, but you know it like a truth carved into your bones. That feeling of being overwhelmed in groups, drained after social gatherings, or off balance in certain rooms isn't just about being tired. It's your energetic system communicating with you. It's your inner compass saying, this isn't where you belong right now. The energy you absorb from others, whether joy, stress, sorrow, or chaos, doesn't simply bounce off of you. You hold it. You carry it. And if you don't know how to clear it, it builds. This is known as energetic transference. It's the subtle and often invisible exchange of emotional and spiritual vibrations between people. You're not just empathizing, you're absorbing. You're taking on what others release, often without realizing it. And if you're especially spiritually sensitive, that effect is amplified. You may not notice it immediately, but you'll feel it later. The headache, the emotional heaviness, the fatigue. This is not weakness. This is energetic sensitivity, and it's part of your awakening. Think of it like this. Everyone emits a frequency, a kind of vibration that reflects their mood, their intentions, even their spiritual state. Some people radiate peace, others project fear. Some carry years of trauma, stress, or unresolved grief. They may not speak it, but it hangs around them like an invisible fog. And if you're someone who is spiritually aware, you sense all of that. You don't need them to tell you anything. You feel it as soon as they walk into the room. Being sensitive to these energies means you're constantly navigating a world that most people are only half aware of. You're picking up invisible signals, sorting through emotions that aren't even yours, and feeling the weight of interactions that seem casual to others. And over time, that can leave you depleted. But instead of seeing this sensitivity as something to fix or hide, it's time to reframe it for what it is: a gift, a profound, divine gift. You have been entrusted with the ability to feel what others ignore. That's not a curse, it's a calling. Your emotional radar, your inner sensitivity, is guiding you not only toward your truth, but toward the spaces and people who truly align with you. And as difficult as it may be to feel so much, it also allows you to love more deeply, to show up more fully, and to sense what others need before they can even name it. That kind of awareness is powerful, but it must be respected. The key to thriving with this gift is learning how to manage your energy. Just as you care for your physical body, your energetic and emotional body requires attention too. That means protecting your boundaries, being intentional about the spaces you enter, and learning to cleanse what doesn't belong to you. You don't have to attend every event. You don't have to engage in every conversation. You're allowed to leave a space that drains you. You're allowed to say no. And more than that, you must. Because this isn't just about comfort. It's about survival. It's about preserving your soul's strength so that you can continue walking your path with clarity and intention. Some practices that can help include quiet time in nature, grounding meditations, energy clearing exercises, and spiritual hygiene habits like journaling, prayer, or smudging. Simple rituals like taking a salt bath or visualizing yourself surrounded by divine light can be surprisingly effective. You're not just cleaning your mind, you're realigning your spirit. But beyond managing the energy you absorb, there's also the deeper challenge of navigating the loneliness that sometimes comes with awakening. Have you felt that before? That aching realization that your old circles don't quite understand you anymore? That friends who once knew you inside and out now feel like strangers? It can be heartbreaking. You want to connect. You crave connection more than ever. But the kind of connection your soul yearns for now is so different than what it used to be. You're not looking for company. You're searching for resonance. That ache for resonance, that longing to be seen, not just heard, is often the most painful part of spiritual growth. Because it's not easy to explain what you're going through. Your insights sound strange. Your truths are met with silence. Your light sometimes threatens those still trapped in their shadows. And so, without trying to, you begin to pull back. You show up less. You speak less. You begin choosing solitude not because you hate people, but because the noise around them distracts you from the voice within. And in that stillness, something incredible begins to happen. The more time you spend alone, not lonely, but alone with purpose, the more your spirit begins to speak. You hear it more clearly. You feel it guiding you. Solitude stops being an escape and becomes sacred. You start to look forward to those moments, because in the silence, your connection with the divine becomes undeniable. This is the paradox of spiritual growth. The higher you rise, the fewer people you can bring with you. But in that thinning crowd, something beautiful is born. Authenticity, depth, and an unshakable sense of self. And here's the part that many forget. This isn't about rejecting others. This isn't about superiority or separation. It's about alignment. When your soul grows, it needs space. When your vibration rises, it needs resonance. When your path becomes sacred, it needs clarity. You were never meant to stay small just to keep others comfortable. Your awakening is not a punishment to endure, it's a light to follow. And in time, you will find those who walk at your pace. You will meet souls who recognize yours without needing an introduction. You will form bonds that don't just fill the time, but feed your spirit. These connections might be fewer, but they will be richer, stronger, and more lasting than anything you've known before. But before that happens, you will need to go through the sacred refining process of solitude. This isn't time wasted. This is preparation. This is how the universe removes the noise so you can finally hear what you were meant to do. Even Jesus, the greatest spiritual leader to walk this earth, often retreated from the crowds. Think about that. With so many people needing him, calling to him, reaching for his miracles, even he stepped away. Not once or twice, but often. Because even he understood that power requires restoration, and restoration requires silence. He didn't withdraw out of weakness, he withdrew out of wisdom. If Jesus needed time alone to reconnect, to pray, to align himself with his divine mission, how much more do we? So when you feel that pull to leave the crowd, listen. That's your spirit reaching for clarity. That's your higher self asking for space to breathe. And there is no shame in that. The world may not understand your silence, but the divine does. Those sacred moments when you pull away from the noise, they are not moments of running. They are moments of returning to your truth, returning to your purpose, returning to the presence of the one who called you to this path. You are not here to fit in. You are here to awaken. You are here to shine. And shining doesn't always happen under the spotlight. Sometimes it happens in the stillness of your room, in the quiet of your morning prayers, in the peaceful moments when you're sitting with your own soul, with no one else watching. This is where real growth happens. This is where transformation takes root. Because before the world can see your light, you have to be willing to sit with your darkness. You have to be willing to feel the loneliness, to face the doubt, to admit the fear, and then to rise anyway. This is the journey of the spiritually awakened, not one of perfection, but one of courage, of trust, of surrender. So the next time you feel different, don't hide it. The next time you sense too much, don't doubt it. The next time you crave solitude, don't fear it. These are not signs of weakness. These are signs of your ascension. You are not breaking, you are unfolding. You are not falling behind, you are being pulled ahead. Let the world keep rushing. Let the noise continue. You were made for something more. And that something starts in the stillness. As this journey continues, you might begin to feel something even more unexpected. Not only are you more sensitive to your environment and drawn towards solitude, but you're also beginning to feel like you're losing touch with your old self. The person you were a year ago, a month ago, even last week, feels like someone you barely recognize. It's not a simple change in preference or opinion. It's deeper. It's as though you're shedding a layer of identity that no longer fits, revealing a version of yourself that was always there beneath the surface, just waiting to emerge. This process is not just emotional or psychological, it's spiritual. And if you've been wondering why everything feels so unfamiliar, so uncertain, so different, this is why. You're not merely changing, you're transforming. There was a time when you knew who you were, or at least you thought you did. You had routines, roles, relationships, beliefs that all formed a cohesive picture. But now, those same patterns feel constricting. The titles you've carried, friend, sibling, employee, parent, may still be true, but they no longer define the fullness of who you are. And that's because your spirit is awakening to a higher identity, one that is not limited by roles or expectations. You're starting to see through the illusions that once held you in place. The expectations of society, the inherited beliefs, the habits you performed without question, these begin to fall away like leaves from a tree. And while that can feel liberating, it can also feel unsettling. After all, if you're no longer who you were, who are you becoming? This is the sacred identity shift. And though it may feel confusing, even frightening, it is one of the most important parts of your spiritual path. You are not breaking apart. You are breaking through. Your soul is guiding you toward your authentic self, not the self others expect from you, not the version of you shaped by fear or survival, but the truest, most unfiltered expression of your being, the self that was there before the world told you who to be. And that self, that essence, is calling you home. Along the way, you may notice that your interests begin to shift. Things that once brought you joy might now feel meaningless. Passions that used to fuel you might begin to fade. It's not because you've lost enthusiasm, it's because you're aligning with a higher version of purpose. What once felt like your path may have simply been a stepping stone to get you to this point. Now, your inner compass is guiding you somewhere new, towards something more resonant with your soul's truth. You might find that your values shift too. You become more aware of what truly matters to you: integrity, compassion, presence, depth. You no longer have the tolerance to engage in things that feel misaligned, even if they once brought you comfort. It's like your spirit refuses to participate in anything that doesn't feel honest. This transition can be lonely, especially if you're surrounded by people who still expect the old you. They might not understand why you're no longer interested in the same conversations or the same social circles. They may question your quietness, your introspection, your desire for something more, but don't let that discourage you. Their confusion is not your burden to carry. You're evolving, and evolution always involves a certain level of detachment from the familiar. It's a little like walking through a dense fog. You know you're moving forward, but you can't quite see the destination yet. All you can do is trust the feeling in your chest, that tug that tells you to keep going, to keep seeking, to keep becoming. And what you're becoming is not random, it's divine. Every uncomfortable change, every hard goodbye, every lonely night, it's all part of the refining fire that shapes you into who you were always meant to be. The truth is, most people don't talk about this part of spiritual awakening. They talk about the light, the peace, the connection. But before that, there is often confusion, discomfort, and even grief. You're not just leaving behind a lifestyle, you're leaving behind an identity. And sometimes that means grieving for a version of yourself you thought you'd always be. But here's what's beautiful. What you're making space for is far more authentic. You're making space for joy that's rooted in truth, peace that doesn't depend on circumstances, purpose that radiates from within. You're creating space for the version of yourself that is whole, aligned, and divinely led. In spiritual circles, this is often referred to as the death of the ego, or more accurately, the death of the false self, the self that was built to survive, to fit in, to gain approval. And while that self served a purpose, it's now being asked to step aside, not to be destroyed, but to be transformed. And as you step more fully into your true self, something incredible begins to happen. Your presence changes. You no longer need to prove yourself or defend your beliefs. You start to live from a place of quiet knowing. There's a calm strength in you, a rootedness that comes from within, not from how others see you, but from how clearly you now see yourself. People may start to notice this shift, even if they can't explain it. Some may be drawn to your energy, curious about your calm. Others may pull away, threatened by your clarity. Let them. Your journey is not to convince anyone. Your responsibility is to stay aligned. And this alignment doesn't mean you'll never feel doubt again. Doubt is part of growth. It's a sign that you're asking deeper questions, seeking truer answers. The difference is, now you have an anchor, a deeper wisdom, a connection to the divine that holds you steady when everything else feels uncertain. So when the old you feels like a stranger, don't panic. That means the new you is rising. When the familiar becomes uncomfortable, don't resist it. That means you're outgrowing what no longer fits. When solitude becomes your sanctuary, embrace it. That means you're learning to hear your own voice above the noise. This is the metamorphosis of the spirit. It is not easy, but it is sacred. You are not unraveling, you are revealing, you are not retreating, you are rising, you are not lost, you are being led. And as you continue to evolve, you may find that another challenge emerges, one that is perhaps the most painful and the most powerful. The more awakened you become, the more isolated you may feel. This is the spiritual paradox. You gain insight, but lose certain relationships. You feel more connected to the universe, but less connected to the crowds. You see truth everywhere, but fewer people seem ready to see it with you. Have you ever had a realization so profound that it shifted your entire worldview? You wanted to share it. Maybe you did, but the reaction you got was blank stares, polite nods, or worse, judgment. It's like you've been given a lens to see the world in full color, while everyone else is still watching in black and white. And no matter how hard you try to describe it, they just don't see it. That loneliness, it's real, but it's not the loneliness of being abandoned. It's the loneliness of becoming, the ache of being ahead of your time, the space between who you were and who you're meant to meet. And still, you keep walking. Because there's no going back. You've seen too much, felt too much, grown too much. And even though it hurts at times, even though the silence feels heavy, you trust that this solitude is shaping you, that the space you're in now is the space where purpose is born. Eventually, as you continue down this path, you will begin to find others who see with the same eyes, who feel with the same depth. Not because you searched for them, but because your light called to them. And when those connections happen, they are unlike anything you've ever experienced. There is no need for pretense, for explanation, for translation. There is only understanding, soul to soul. This is what you're being prepared for. Your sensitivity, your solitude, your shifting identity. All of it is carving you into a vessel that can hold more love, more light, more truth than you ever thought possible. Not for the sake of being special, but for the sake of being of service. Because this isn't just about you. This journey isn't just for your own peace. It's for everyone you'll reach, every heart you'll touch, every soul you'll awaken, simply by being who you are. You were chosen not because you're better, but because you're willing to feel, willing to change, willing to be different in a world that clings to sameness. And that willingness, that's your power. You are not here to fit in, you are here to expand, you are here to hold space for truth in a world that's starving for it. You are here to carry a frequency that uplifts, heals, and restores. And everything you're experiencing right now, the confusion, the solitude, the transformation, is preparing you for that purpose. So, when you feel misunderstood, remember, your path is not for everyone. It's for those who are ready to rise with you. When you feel distant from your old self, trust that your new self is being born. When you feel overwhelmed by energy, let it guide you back to your center. And when you feel alone, know this. You're never truly alone. You are guided. You are protected. You are becoming exactly who you were always meant to be. As this transformation reaches deeper into your soul, you'll likely find yourself at a crossroads that many spiritually awakened individuals come to. It's the moment when your spiritual clarity is higher than ever, yet your sense of belonging in the world is lower than it's ever been. You've peeled back the layers. You've shed false identities. You've stood in your solitude and listened to the whisper of your inner truth. And now, when you return to the world, to family, to old friends, to familiar places, it feels like speaking a language no one else can understand. This moment is tender, it's heavy, it's sacred. You want to be seen, not just heard, but understood. You want to share the insights that have shifted your life, the realizations that have cracked your heart wide open and brought you closer to the divine. But when you try, the words seem to land flat. The message, no matter how deeply felt, gets lost in translation. It's not that the world is ignoring you, it's that your frequency has shifted. You've moved beyond where you were, and even though the people around you may still love you, they may not be able to follow you into this next phase. Not because they don't care, but because their time to awaken hasn't arrived yet. Your light to them might feel unfamiliar. It might even feel uncomfortable. And while that can be painful, it's also perfectly natural. You weren't made to dim your light for the sake of comfort. You were made to shine it, even when it creates distance, even when it makes others uncomfortable, even when it means walking alone for a little while longer. Because in that space, in that lonely, holy space, you're not only holding your light, you're refining it. And this light, this deep knowing that lives inside you, is part of your divine purpose. It's not always loud. It doesn't always demand attention. Often it speaks through your quiet strength, your compassion, your ability to see past the surface and into the truth of things. It's how you show up. It's how you love. It's how you choose to live in alignment with what you've been shown. This inner alignment, this sacred authenticity, is what turns your spiritual growth into a life of meaning. But here's where it becomes even more important. The more aligned you become, the more you'll begin to see that your energy doesn't just react to the world, it influences it. You're not just absorbing vibrations, you're emitting them. You're shaping the spaces you enter. You're affecting people in ways you might not even realize. Think about it. Have you ever been around someone who made you feel instantly calm without saying a word? Or someone whose very presence felt heavy, even if they were smiling? That's energy at work, and your energy, your frequency, is now becoming more powerful, more refined, more influential. This is why protecting your energy becomes non-negotiable. You cannot be everything to everyone. You cannot pour endlessly without refilling your own cup. And you certainly cannot carry the weight of others' unhealed pain without eventually breaking under it. Spiritual growth doesn't mean becoming a martyr. It means knowing your limits. It means listening to the signals your soul sends you when something feels off. It means saying no when your spirit says no, even if your ego wants to say yes. And as difficult as this may be to practice, it's essential. Because your sensitivity isn't meant to crush you, it's meant to guide you. This guidance doesn't always come in the form of logic. It's often a quiet knowing, an inner tug, a sudden clarity, a pull towards something or away from something that doesn't make sense on paper but feels absolutely true in your bones. That's your intuition. And in your spiritual journey, it is one of your most valuable allies. Start listening to it. Start trusting it. The more you do, the stronger it gets. The more you trust that voice, the less validation you'll need from outside sources. You'll begin to move from a place of alignment, not approval. You'll act not from fear, but from truth. And that's when your life begins to change, subtly at first, then profoundly. As this transformation deepens, you might notice that you're also attracting different kinds of people. No longer are you surrounded by those who want to gossip, distract, or compete. Instead, you start meeting others who share your hunger for truth, for depth, for authenticity. These relationships are rare, but when they arrive, they feel like home. There's no pretense, no need to filter your thoughts or hide your sensitivity. You're seen, you're heard, you're felt. And that kind of connection is a mirror, a reminder that you're not walking this path alone, that while it's narrow and quiet and sometimes hard, others are on it too. Maybe not beside you, but somewhere nearby, shining their own light into the darkness. These are your soul connections, and finding them is worth every moment of loneliness you endured. But even before they arrive, even if they never do in the way you hope, there's one relationship you must nurture above all else. The relationship with yourself. Not the self shaped by the world, but the self that exists beneath it. The self that is infinite, divine, unshaken by trends or titles. The self that remembers who you were before the noise, before the fear, before the need to prove. Your connection to that version of you, your highest self, is the foundation for everything else. It's the source of your wisdom, the compass that guides you, the part of you that knows, without doubt, that you are here for a reason. And connecting to that part of you happens in the quiet, in the stillness, in those moments of solitude that feel both heavy and holy. You're not wasting time when you sit alone in silence. You're aligning, you're remembering, you're coming back to yourself. In a world that constantly demands you to be more, do more, prove more, your greatest act of power may be choosing to be still. Because in the stillness, you find clarity, you find peace, you find the next step, even when the path is hidden. And as you walk forward, step by step, in faith instead of fear, something amazing begins to unfold. The loneliness lessens, not because the world has changed, but because you have. You're no longer desperate to be understood. You're no longer chasing connections that drain you. You're no longer betraying your truth for temporary approval. Instead, you're moving with intention, with awareness, with love, for yourself, for others, for the divine. And that love creates ripples. People begin to feel your presence even before you speak. They notice your calm, your depth, your strength. They may not understand it, but they'll be drawn to it. Not because you're trying to impress them, but because your energy speaks louder than words ever could. This is the legacy of the spiritually awakened. You don't have to preach, you don't have to push. You simply live your truth, and by doing so, you inspire others to find theirs. You become a mirror, a reminder, a spark. But none of that happens without honoring the journey you've taken to get here, the discomfort, the solitude, the sensitivity, the shedding. It all mattered. It all served a purpose. And now, as you continue forward, more rooted and more clear than ever before, you carry with you a strength that no one can take away. Not the strength of ego, but the strength of knowing who you are, knowing what you carry, knowing why you're here. So if you ever feel out of place again, in a crowd, in a conversation, in a life that no longer fits, remember this. You're not out of place. You're being redirected. Every sense of disconnection is a compass. Every moment of discomfort is a nudge. Every instance of loneliness is a signal that your spirit is evolving. You are not here to be like everyone else. You are here to be fully, unapologetically, divinely yourself. That self, the one you've been discovering, reclaiming, becoming, is not fragile. It's powerful, it's radiant, and it's ready. Ready to walk into a world that may never fully understand you and love it anyway. Ready to bring light where there is confusion. Ready to hold peace where there is chaos. Ready to speak truth where there is silence. This is your mission, not to fit in, but to transform. Not to conform, but to rise. Not to mimic, but to embody what it means to live from the soul. And if that means feeling out of place sometimes, so be it. You were never meant to belong to the crowd. You were meant to lead from the front, so walk your path. Speak your truth, trust your knowing, shine your light, and never forget. Your sensitivity is not a flaw. It is your superpower. Your solitude is not emptiness. It is sacred ground. Your shift in identity is not a crisis. It is a homecoming. You are not broken, you are becoming. And this life, this journey, this unfolding is exactly what you were born for.